How is everybody doing today? As you could probably tell by the title, we're going to be talking about difficulty in Warhammer Space Marine 2. There's been a lot of discourse that I've heard of and seen throughout with the inclusion of absolute difficulty. In the background, you'll be watching uh, me play the second operation, Decapitation, on absolute difficulty, solo with two bots. I will say I've not beaten this yet. Um, I have done one mission with on absolute difficulty by myself and completed it. It is the first one, but I've not beat this one yet. So this does not end in a win. But I've been hearing a lot of people complain, both sides of absolute difficulty. Some people saying it's not hard enough. Other people saying it's kind of BS and um, Saber needs to stop pandering to fans that only want harder and harder difficulty because it's not a Souls game and blah blah blah. Let's just stop that, okay? Um, Absolute difficulty is hard. It's not easy. Uh, is it the difficulty that we thought we were gonna get when we jumped up from lethal? I don't think so. Um, Honestly, I think that it could be harder and we would have been fine. I don't believe it's super difficult compared to lethal. I think lethal is just a step below. The problem is there's a good amount of people that can't beat lethal, and now they're also trying absolute and they can't beat absolute. That's obvious. Um, Lethal on its own is very difficult. Then you have Absolute, which is one tier just slightly above that. You just have a lot more Majoris and obviously Extremis. You'll get a triple Extremis spawn quite often. Um, so, there's that. I don't think it's what we all thought. I think when they said we were going to get a higher difficulty, I think we were all thinking, you know, it's going to take a good coordinated team to actually get through it. And I've never had that. I've had comms with people on lethal, but I've never had anyone on any of my absolute runs when I actually play with other players. Uh, they're all randoms. I don't get on with other people that I know. No one else I know plays this game. Um, so I don't get on with other people I know, and no one's been on comms yet. I've not gotten in a group where I've had comms. It's just not happened. So you do not need a quote unquote legit team that is talking and you know being tactical about everything. You just need to quite honestly get a little sweaty. That's all it is. You just have to be super aware of everything, and you can see I'm getting my ass kicked right here. So, it's even people that play absolute difficulty. I think understand that it's not just a oh you're guaranteed to win kind of thing. Uh, but again, I think we all kind of wanted something a little bit more. Um, with that, I would like to just say it is not toxic to want a higher difficulty in a game that offers multiple difficulty levels. Okay? There are, minimal, average, substantial, lethal, absolute difficulty. All these difficulties exist. It's not toxic to want the hardest one to be a little bit harder. Okay? The only thing you get from absolute difficulty, other than the experience, is going to be cosmetic. That's it. It's all cosmetic. That is quite literally the best way to make a video game for difficulty tiers where it's when you don't want to leave anybody out. When you want everybody to have equal footing um, and not feel bad that they, didn't complete it on the hardest difficulty, just make it cosmetic. Cos- Cosmetics do nothing to gameplay. Nothing. You are not losing anything by not playing absolute difficulty or lethal or even substantial. You can play average difficulty, or I think the lowest one's called minimal difficulty. Nothing changes other than difficulty. Like your weapons are all the same. It's there's nothing wrong with wanting a higher level of difficulty. Nothing with it. There is something wrong with it if you're saying that, people that don't complete lethal prior to the patch, or don't complete absolute prior to the spore mine patch, or whatever, they shouldn't get the cosmetic. That's toxic. It's toxic as fuck. Like, screw those people. Um, just because you weren't able to get on the game and play doesn't mean that your run is invalid. That's dumb. But with that, just because you want a harder challenge also does not make you toxic. Okay? Just because you want a harder challenge to make it more fun for you does not mean that you are the bane of the existence of video games, okay? That's not how it works. It is completely fine to want a challenge in video games. It is also completely fine to not want a higher challenge in the video game, but you do not gatekeep either way. Just because you don't want a higher challenge does not mean you get to gatekeep the entire game and say it can't get any harder or else it's toxic and it's not staying true to the game. No, no. This is a power fantasy. Okay? The entire game is a power fantasy. You want to feel like a badass. Okay? I would argue there's two ways to do that. One, you are overpowered as shit and you take everything down real easy. A lot of people think that's power fantasy. And I'd say, okay, I can see that. Okay. You're super powerful and you just destroy everything. Power fantasy. Got it. Cool. You know what else is a power fantasy? Over increasing odds, that these massive hordes, these massive enemies, amounts of enemies are raining down on you at all times, and you have limited supply, and you fight tooth and nail through to get your objective done. That's a power fantasy. Because after that, you are powerful. Like, you have shown that you are powerful regardless of the odds. Both are power fantasies, and both are fine. Don't try and gatekeep either way. You let the people that don't want the harder difficulty play at lower difficulties without gatekeeping, and you let the people that want harder difficulty have harder difficulty without gatekeeping. Period. Anyone that says otherwise is being toxic, and just let them go. Don't listen to them. Now, if there's things in the game like, oh, you can only unlock, I don't know, this tier, this class of character. Okay, say sniper. Okay, the guy I'm running with here. Say sniper is only unlockable if you beat absolute difficulty 5 times. That's stupid. Okay, you should not have a class that is unlockable only with the highest difficulty. I don't think. I think that's gatekeeping from the devs. I don't like that. But as far as just a cosmetic thing, a looks and does nothing else, doesn't function any differently, that's fine. Like, what are we complaining about? It's cosmetic. No one cares. Yes, if you're super, into the lore and you're a lore buff and you want to get into the uh, what do you call it? Uh, Cosmetics. Basically, you want to get into role playing, or make your character look a certain way. Yes, you're going to have to beat the higher difficulty for that. I get it, but I would also argue the majority of people that are like that are also the ones that want the harder challenge and they understand what this is. That's just how it is. Um, Again, it's not a bad thing to play at the lower difficulties. It is perfectly acceptable. Anyone who gives you shit about it, don't listen to them. You're fine. You're doing good. Okay? Just play the game, have a good time. For instance, For instance, Monster Hunter Wilds just came out. Everyone's like, "Oh, the game's not hard enough. The game's not hard enough." If you play the game just to have fun, you will faint. I've fainted on early Monster Hunter Wilds on low rank, I think 5 times. I don't care. I've also beaten the hardest monsters solo in every one of the other entries. It has nothing to do with difficulty. So people that want to gatekeep, they're gonna try and gatekeep. Just don't listen to them. It's toxic. Don't don't pay any attention. Um, there should be a way for us to make this game harder. Uh, whether it be sliders, whether it be they add a higher difficulty, which they've kind of said they're at their limit really. Um, they don't think they're going to be able to add any more difficulty because adding more stuff would kind of make it unfair, which I would argue I don't care. Make it unfair as fuck. I should not be able to get through this. Okay. I am not a god tier gamer by any means. Okay. I am mediocre at best. If I can do it, I have faith you can do it. Trust me on that. I make so many screw ups in video games, and I do not have the time to dedicate myself to a video game the way that some people do. I am by no means the uh, the creme de la creme of gamer. Okay, it's just I'm not it. I do enjoy a good challenge though. Okay, and I will push myself to beat something solo if I think it's doable. There are certain things that I just say nope, not interested. Um, but this is very doable. You can do it. Trust me. You're gonna have to get a little sweaty, more than likely. You're gonna have to learn some things. You may have to, optimize your set uh, according to what you should be running. So, like in this one, I'm using the skill where when I cloak myself, I regain all my contested health. I hate that skill. I would much rather have the skill where I get 5% of my cloak back for headshots. That's a much better skill in my opinion. But it's not meta and it does not lend itself great to this. Um so again, I think you can do it. I don't think that anyone within reason anyone is walled off from absolute difficulty. Um if you don't want to try that hard, that's fine. If you want a relaxing game when you come home from work or something, that's fine. But I would argue, why are you loading up absolute difficulty or anything that has, a higher difficulty if you're trying to quote unquote relax with a game after work and you're being irritated that, you know, you can't because it's too hard. Play play something else, dude, or lower the difficulty. You don't have to play max difficulty to have a good time. If you do, then I don't think complaining about max difficulty is the best thing because you're doing it to yourself. And I would argue that's toxic. Again, people think that absolute difficulty locking off cosmetics is bad. Again, I'd say that's probably the most fair way to do it. Um, and then also, I've heard people say, well, once you get the cosmetic, there's no reason to play absolute difficulty, so it just shouldn't be there. Nope. No, sir. No. To give you an example, okay? I've beaten absolute difficulty, I think, on a couple different maps, or operations rather. I've not beat it on this one. I beat it on Inferno, I think Termination once, and another one. I forget what the other one is, but I beat it on Inferno a decent chunk of times, and not all solo. I beat it once solo, and then the rest were with randoms. There's definitely a reason to do it other than the cosmetics. I've not unlocked the cosmetic yet. I don't really care about the cosmetic. I'm not here for that. I'm probably not even gonna put the cosmetic on once I unlock it. Don't care. Um, what I care about is the challenge. That's it. That is the entire reason to play it, other than the cosmetic. And I would say people that are saying that don't play hard games on purpose, which is fine. That is completely fine. But saying that there's no purpose to it other than the cosmetic, I think, is not truthful in the slightest. Because again, why would anyone play hard games then? You play it for the challenge, you play it for the intensity, and to have a good time. So maybe think about that. Again, I'm not trying to say anyone is, you know, wrong for having their opinion here, saying that, you don't like absolute difficulty or you do, or you think it's too hard or too easy. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, how about we be a little bit less toxic on both sides and we just play the damn game? Some people want more difficulty. Perfect. Some people don't want it to be as difficult. Perfect. There's lower difficulties for that. The people that want it to be more difficult are trying to talk and get the devs to make something that's more difficult, maybe sliders or higher difficulty. Um, but they're definitely not toxic for asking for that. That's not a thing. If they're saying, again, if they're saying, oh, the people that didn't get the helmet when lethal was dropped initially should be locked off for the helmet. They should get a different helmet. They shouldn't get this one. That's toxic. But just asking for higher difficulty is not toxic. You trying to wall off there being higher difficulty because you can't beat it is toxic. Period. So maybe just think about that. I know I'm probably going to get some hate for this, uh, but I hope everyone sees the point that I'm trying to make here. Um, some games are going to be harder than others, and that's okay. Some games are going to be easier than others, and that's okay. Not every game has to be Dark Souls. Not every game has to be My Little Pony. Okay? And if we have multiple different selections for difficulty, I think we're in a good spot for most games. Um, there should be something there for everybody, pretty much. So, you know, just just play the game how you want to play it. If you don't want to play absolute difficulty, don't. Don't feel like you have to. Anyone that says anything about, your worth as a gamer or you not, you shouldn't be allowed at the table to talk about anything, don't listen to those people. They're just toxic. Um, but just don't play it if you don't want to play it. That's fine. If you do want to play it. And don't listen to these people that say don't talk about harder difficulty. If you have a suggestion, suggest it. So long as you're not trying to inhibit anyone else's experience in that they should have something different because they didn't beat it on the version that I beat it on. Rah, rah, rah. Those people can shut up. Other than that, you guys just have yourselves a good rest of your day. If you did like the video or you hated the video, I don't care. Maybe think about liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Let me know how wrong I am. Let me know how right I am. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Hopefully, I'll see you on Warhammer and we'll play a match together. Bye.